All right. Hey guys. So let's just say you're a writer or you have an assignment from school. And you basically have to come up with, let's say, a cool short story which, has to earn in a end in a specific fashion. So one thing you could do is of course go on Google and try and search for inspiration, or if you're smart you can consult Chat GPT to basically do all the heavy lifting for you. So here I have an example where I've basically gone through the prompt of creating or generating ideas, leads, and sources to be able to write a short story with sad ending. So here I basically give the prompt, give me 5 ideas for writing a short story with a sad ending. And ChatGPT returns, some pretty sad prompts. You can clearly see you've got young couples love, unexpected tragedy, a person who struggles with mental health illnesses, a child who's taken from their family under unforeseen circumstances, yada, yada, yada. And then if you're not satisfied, if for some reason they don't, if these ideas don't connect with you, you can ask it to generate even more ideas. Here, if there is something, let's say, more mental health related, you can have a soldier that returns from the war with severe injuries, and they can't get back to their normal life, and it causes strain on their relationships. This is something that kind of struck a chord with me, and that's one of the topics that I wanted to sort of investigate a little bit in detail. So that's what I wanted to. That's what I took forward. You can basically ask it now to give you variations of idea 7 because you might think that that's a little bit more generic, or you might want something that's a little bit more nuanced. So you can say, with variations of idea 7, ChatGPT basically returns you ideas such as missing limb, severe burns, traumatic brain injury, PTSD, which was one of the main that was already given, but it sort of changes the circumstance a little bit, making it to struggling with anxiety, depression, flashbacks, as compared to unable to return to their, well, it could be related, but it phrases it slightly differently. And the last one being chronic physical illness. Now, what you can do to basically connect the dot and be able to gain more ideas on how you want to, let's say, finish the story is then discuss, okay, what can improve the life of such a soldier that has, in our 5 variations, suffering from or is in the context of a 5th variation. So here it basically gives you a very small and very succinct summary of things that you can incorporate ideas wise to more or less round up the story. Here it basically states you can have receiving appropriate medical care, receiving financial support, finding a supportive community, having access to mental health resources, participating in activities and hobbies, receiving support from loved ones. And yeah, you can ask it to generate even more if you want, like we did for the ideas before. And if that wasn't enough for you, and you would like to, let's say, have a more rounded perspective on this, you can even ask it to recommend you books that you can read. So that is one of, I think, I would consider to be a groundbreaking feature, in the sense that it really allows you to have a external slash an extended reading list that it generates just by you asking about it. So here it basically gives you some books that with summaries themselves of how they relate to the topic. So here there are usually it will come up with the most famous books while trying to sort of focus on making it as closely related to the prompt that it gave you. So here you have The Things They Carried, Tim O'Brien, collection of short interconnected stories, Yellow Birds by Kevin Powers, Two Soldiers During an Iraq War, and effects of the war on friendship and mental health. Good Soldiers, a nonfiction account for a year of life in a U.S. Army battalion, also explores human cost of war, challenges returning home. Here, it's about ambush in Sadar City, leaves soldiers, talks about lives of soldiers before the attack, And this one specifically something that very, very much relates to the kind of topic that we're exploring here, um, being, of course, mental health and history of mental health. Now, if that wasn't enough and you would like, let's say, more real world and some articles to sort of focus on the non-fictional aspect, even though it does recommend a lot of non-fiction books. Actually, all the books are non-fiction, but if you want something that's a little bit more recent, because a lot of books tend to be quite dated, you can also ask it to recommend 6 articles on the topics. Now, unfortunately, one thing that I did notice specifically from our research is that the links actually tend not to work as often as people think. You can usually search up the articles. Many times the articles exist, many times they actually don't. This could also be because when, let's say, this autoregressive model was trained, these articles were on the web, and for some or the other reason, they've been removed. Or could be some or the other reason. But anyways, it gives you still lots of ideas on what sort of articles you can look for. So if I click on this link, for example, it doesn't take me to the thing that it promised. So here, this is clearly not the invisible wounds of war. The title here is Take the ACE quiz. What does it mean and what it doesn't mean? So yeah, that's a shame. However, you can also ask it to recommend you places where you can go to be able to gain, let's say, more field interview and personal accounts. If you want to sort of extend your research by adding more personal interviews, more surveys, and feedbacks. Here, in this case, since I'm in the Netherlands, if I would like to get an overview of such a thing, I can basically, according to Chat GPT, go to the Dutch Armed Forces, Military Police, Veterans Associations, and Veterans Federation. It also tells you that what sort of psyche you should have while approaching these people, which is also great. Gives you a little bit of forefront on context with how you should approach this situation. So it's great. It tells you they might not be comfortable sharing their experiences, respect their privacy and boundaries. Also important to do your research, which you are, if you're looking at this video going through ChatGPT. And one thing that we also tried to see is if we could get the details quickly as well for one of the sources that we do want to contact, let's say. Here as well, there does seem to be a problem. These links do not work. There is no such link as mindef.nl. We did search for the actual link of the Koninklijke Landmacht, which is the Dutch Armed Forces, and that's under a different link, which is basically defensie.nl, so Ministry of Defense. So here you might have to do a little bit of more external research, but at least it gives you all of these places that you can look at. Lastly, if you are struggling more and you would like to have a more, quick understanding of what kind of stories you can write already, you can basically ask it to generate short synopses. Here we were able to generate very quick original synopsis for stories based on the topics that we asked it to generate. So here it talks about Last Goodbye, a short story from a soldier that returns from deployment. Things We Carry, short story about soldiers that served in Vietnam War. Lost and Found, a short story about a soldier who returns and finds that everything has changed. Here, we more or less did a little bit of troubleshooting to see why the articles and they don't work. We also tried to see if you could get YouTube videos for the topic, and that also seems to be another function that doesn't clearly work yet. If you try to find the video itself, here, let's say, combat veterans struggle with mental health, you will see that the video isn't available anymore, and that's the case for all of the videos here. So that is something that it doesn't quite do, and since we wanted to make sure that the prompts that it generated before were original, we asked it to generate more prompts. So here again, you can clearly see that you can come up with lots and lots of ideas, and to sum it up, I think ChatGPT is one of the most efficient ways of finding creative sources if you are stuck, and more or less pursuing ideas by asking it to give you certain prompts, resources, information to go, and it's way more succinct and it's way more confined to the thing that you want to do as compared to looking at Google and searching every link directly. So I hope this helped you.